In this episode, we'll be talking about record keeping. Now, record keeping is obviously important when you're running a business, whether it's a livestock business or any business. You really need to know what your expenditure is, what your income is, and what your cash flows are going to be like. But in the record keeping for the herd, it's also really of importance so you know which animals are thriving and which animals you should keep and which animals you should cull out of the herd. Maybe they're not economically viable, their yields are too low, or they're not a particularly good performer. This is a record sheet where I keep ideally monthly records, but normally it's probably every 6 weeks or 2 months when I do the record keeping. And this tells me everything I need to know about every animal in the herd. So we have the date, and then all of the adult males, and here we have the brand number and also the name of the camel, because often the herdsmen refer to camels by their name, not necessarily their brand number. We record the sex in the column, and then the breed, whether it's a purebred Somali or what percentage of Pakistan blood or Turkana blood might be in that animal. We have a record of the birth date, and then the condition that the animal is in that day when we're actually doing these records, whether it's in good body condition, fair condition or poor condition, and anything in between. Then we look at its status. For example, is it a breeding bull, or if it's a weaner male or a suckling male calf. And then in the females, we look at whether they're lactating or whether they are pregnant or dry, or whether they're still a non-pregnant heifer or a pregnant heifer, so that we know exactly the details. And this will obviously change month by month. Then we have a column just for comments, whether it's been trained for riding or whether that animal has had any disease problems or the date of calving, etc. Then the next column is for the camel owner. The last 20 years or so when we've been keeping this herd, there are 3 of us who are the major shareholders in this herd. But there are also 1 or 2 individuals who might own camels and keep them in our herd. Or they might be camels we've gifted to friends as wedding presents, but they continue to be in our herd. So the individual owner. Then we have a column with the mother's number, so we know which is the mother, and that goes into our long-term recording. And then also the father or the sire of each animal. Then we're also talking here about any treatments that we're carrying out during the month for that camel, or whether it's been suffering from disease, if it's got diarrhea, or the milk yield has dropped. And then we also have a column looking at the eruption of the teeth. What is the status of the teeth? So from that you can also tell its age. But in all of our animals, pretty much all of them, we already know the birth date. Just a few of our camels or camels that we might have bought into the herd, we don't know their exact birth date, so we look at their teeth to estimate how old they are. And then also a column just saying what we should do in the future. Is that animal for sale? Is it going to be used for training or for breeding? And so also a column just giving us some direction for its future. So that each page covering the males, the females, the weaners and the calves. And of course it's important to know every animal must have its own identity number. We use hot branding on the neck, an individual number for each animal. We in the past have used ear tags, but the camels tend to play fight and they bite each other's ears. So often within 1 year, most of those ear tags have been lost. And then of course there is the electronic chipping these days. And that is a way of automatically updating information, and you scan the chip under the skin and you know exactly the identity of that animal, and electronically it will give you the records of what treatments it's had, where it's been, etc. So every day there is a record of which animals might be looking sick, which animals have not been feeding properly. This page shows you which animals have been mated on which day. So, for example, on the 1st of August 2021, bull number 126 mated female camel number 111. So all of these go back for several years, and that's collected on a daily basis. When the animals come back each evening, my manager here in the herd will ask the herdsman what's happened during the day, any matings, any observations. Then we also, on this page, we keep a record again on a daily or weekly basis of all of the treatments that have been carried out. So this goes back to, that's an example, 10th of June 2019. It says we sprayed the camel number 1 with aerosol spray on its back foot. It was attacked by a buffalo. Others are just talk about the other treatments. 1126 treated with pen strep injection, both 20 cc's. So that is again kept up to date on a daily basis. As to the veterinary treatments, we look at the births, calvings and births each day. So if a calf is born, we write the date it was born. For example, here on the 20th of September 2023, calf number 165 gave birth to a female calf which weighed 35 kilograms and is black in colour. So those are kept on a daily, weekly basis. The births, this also includes deaths. For example, in 19th of February 2022, number 69 broke a leg and had to be slaughtered. We sold it for 20,000 shillings. So these are records we keep on a daily basis. We also have the milk sales here. So this is the quantities of milk sent to the market each day, and the cost of transportation sending that milk to the market. Income summary, this one for 2023. The milk sales. So in January 2023 we sold 1,385 litres. We do a breakdown as whose camels produced that milk. The price per litre was 130 shillings and the total value. We've got a breakdown of the camel sales. So I sold 4 males in May 2023, and we'll have the record of the income. Also any camel riding or other income. Sometimes we hold workshops, we hold trainings for institutes or NGOs or farmers themselves, and we have an income from that as well. We record the morning milk yield and the evening milk yield, one day every week from all of the lactating camels. And then on a monthly basis, we record the body measurements, particularly of the calves. So we have the birth weight 1 month later, or let's say on the end of the month, we do body measurements of the whole herd, and we know how much those calves have grown each month. For the adult camels, we do those body measurements once every 3 months. And those body measurements are a combination of figures. It's the height and the thoracic girth and the abdominal girth, the girth across the top of the hump and under the belly. You multiply that in meters, you multiply that by 50, and it gives you a surprisingly accurate estimate of the live weight. So that we take every 3 months. So we can see if animals are putting on weight or whether they're losing weight. If they're losing weight, we start investigating why. So again, in terms of looking after animals, we need to record on the monthly basis the body condition, whether it's good and fair or poor. Also any specific features that identify that camel. Perhaps it's got a short jaw, or it might have very curly coat, or it might have an old scar on its body. So in case the numbers become indecipherable, because as the camels grow, those brand numbers often get hairier and more difficult to read. We also have physical identification. Perhaps one has got round ears or pointed ears. So all of that we take note of. We've also at different times, not regularly, but we look at every couple of years, we look at the udder conformation. Does that female camel have a good shape of udder? Is it a large udder, a small udder? Are the teats small? How many openings on the teats? We also look at the duration of lactation. So once it comes to the end of its lactation, we know how many months it's been producing milk for. We record if it's finished lactation, is it already pregnant, or if it's going to take how many months before it gets pregnant. We keep records of all of that. We can do analyses to see how our herd performance is. And of course it's of interest to students of camel production. There's plenty of data available to do master's degrees. So there's a lot that can be done. We're looking at weaning dates and weaning weights, because often at weaning in the cattle systems, that's when people often sell their calves. Here in the camel system, we keep them longer to put on more body weight. Then all of this information, particularly in terms of the productivity, we'll be using to set up a stud book and a milk production record. So in September of this year, we finally managed to get the Camel Breeders Society of Kenya registered, and we're now in the process of getting membership and formulating the breed characteristics and looking into the logistics of how do we make sure that milk records sent in are genuine and recorded properly. So we'll have to try and set up some sort of system at the county level. Of course then you've got other aspects in terms of the tourism. If you've got income coming in from tourism and ecotourism, or the income from selling camels, or what we do is often train camels and try and sell them on to people who want to use them for tourism as a well-trained animal. All of those records, we keep a record of the price, who it was sold to, and when it was taken out of the herd. All of these different forms of income really help you manage how your herd makes money or loses money. But at the same time, we've got to remember, camel keeping is not just about making profit and being a business. It's also a sentient being. It's an animal that is intelligent. It's a herd animal, and we'll be talking more about that in the next episode, which is about ethics and welfare in camel keeping. Thank you.
Today I'm going to show you how we do a camel body measurement. So this is a picture of a camel. So we do three measurements. That's the shoulder height measurement. That is the thoraxis gut. You take a tape measure, and you take a tape measure and measure this part and record. And also we have an abdominal gut. You take a tape measure and measure this part. So I've just estimated the shoulder height as 1.9 meters. The thoraxis height, the thoraxis gut as 2.20 meters, and abdominal gut as 2.49 meters. So if you want to get the total weight, you multiply all the three measurements by 50. That is the shoulder height, the thoraxis gut, and abdominal gut times 50. And the total weight is 523.5 kgs. And the reason why we do this will help us to know the amount of dosage that we give this camel.
Camel number 185. Camel number 185. Height is 1.6. That's centimeters.
1.60.
1.6.
Yeah.
The thoracic girth is 2 meters exactly, 2.00.
2.00.
2.00.
Thoracic girth.
Abdominal.
And then the abdominal girth is 2.31.
2.31. Then we check the edge. We look at the incisors. They have 3 pairs. The first pair erupt at 4.5 years, and the second pair erupt at 5.5. The last pair, the third pair, erupt at 6.5. This is the first pair. It's a permanent teeth. This is the second pair, and this is the third pair erupting, just erupting. So it's 6.5 years old. And on the remarks, we look at the body condition. I would say it is fair condition, and it is lactating. We make all that remarks. We also do the body measurement for young ones like this. This calf is, we call it C24, calf of number 24, because they don't have their own number, so they are using a mother's number. So shoulder height is, we do the same. Shoulder height is 1.32. Our thoracic circumference is, PS is doing that.
Is 1.09.
1.09. Abdominal circumference or abdominal cut is
1.17.
1.17. And then condition is fair. We look at the sex. It is a male calf, and the teeth are milk teeth. So it is 6 temporary light.
As we have already did the measurement, so we are going to calculate. So the height is 1.32. Thoracic is 1.09. Abdominal is 1.17.
This camel's beak is pregnant. Shoulder height is 1.94.
And the thoracic girth is 2.22. And the abdominal girth is 2.80.
So if we multiply the 3 measurements by 50, the total kgs is 602.
So condition is good.
So here with me is a paper just on my phone where we do our body measurement, body height measurement. As you can see, we have the location, dates, name of the recorder, conditions, and also we have several columns that has camel number, sex, condition, shoulder height, thorax, abdominal height, weights, and comments.
What we're doing is every once a week, one day a week, we take milk measurements. So this will be the milk from one camel, and we'll pour it into, so this is 1 litre, and okay, there's very little left in there. So that is just 1 litre from the early afternoon milking. and then we'll milk again, and I'll measure the milk yield tonight for all of the camels, and then they'll be separated overnight, and then we also milk them in the morning, and again we take a measurement. So we take once a week, we take milk measurements using a 1 litre measure. The herdsman will bring the milk to me in his milking bucket. I will sit with a torch at night and record, and he'll tell me the number. And also some of the camels, for example, some camels might have had mastitis, so if we're only milking 2 of the teats, he'll tell me how many teats have been milked. A disease that's been killing a lot of camels round and about. We've lost 6 calves in the last 6 weeks and 1 adult female. And some of the neighbouring ranches have had even worse deaths. So we've been taking some blood samples. I've left them all afternoon to get the blood serum off the blood, and then once we've done this we'll put them in the refrigerator, and we'll take them down to Nairobi, the Kibeti Veterinary Labs, tomorrow morning. So this is just pouring off the blood serum, which they will then be able to use for doing various analyses to try and find out the cause of the problem. So the blood serum is the watery bit, whereas the blood clot remains in this side of will remain in that bottle. So this one is bottle sample number 2. This is from the calf 121, which you would have seen yesterday with the swollen stomach, the edema under the skin, and it hasn't been feeding very well for the last 2 weeks. So we're just going to put the sample number on that bottle and put it on the lid as well. And then we put the date, which is the 21st, and we just write camel serum. And then when we're in Nairobi, we will request what tests need to be done. You can see that on some of them the serum is not very thick, on others it's separated quite well. Where it hasn't separated well, I'll use a syringe and needle, because it's quite precious. We want to get as much as possible, but without leaving too much of the clot coming with it. So we'll just do this one. We think it's possibly a Clostridium disease, a bacterial disease, or it could be a selenium deficiency, and we're trying to get as many people as possible to take samples and send them in for analysis. Okay, that's not very much. That's about all we'll get out of that one, which is not very much, but it should be enough for at least 1 analysis. Interestingly, this morning we did a trial where we were feeding a traditional medicine called Ajuca gramota, and it's normally a plant that occurs naturally in the rangelands, but the camels don't normally eat it. But once it had been boiled overnight, they very readily drank the medicine, which people also use as a human medicine, and then also started eating the boiled leaves. So, and it's supposed to be medicinal. Some people are powdering that plant and selling it as a malaria dawa. So let's see how they're doing tonight, whether the diarrhea has finished.
Camel.